It's like, it's so frustrating when you try to cast them. I hate it when I'm like, I quickly like look down to the bottom of my screen to double check who I'm casting again, just so I say the right name. And if they're playing on
Yeah.
like an alt account, I just like, I think it happened when Hero was playing on an account called Bumblebee or something like a couple of weeks ago. I called him
Yeah.
Bumblebee. I was just like, oh well, I mean, it's just like it just came out, just couldn't stop it in time. Anyways,
Indeed.
go ahead with how you were saying.
Hmm? I wasn't saying anything.
Oh,
Are you
were you
crazy?
not? Oh, I thought you were saying. I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm going crazy. All right, well,
Maybe.
I'll introduce our players quickly as we have to the top left-hand side. Our purple Zerg player, which is RiSky from My Insanity, is going to be playing against the cannon-rushing Protoss player to the bottom right
Oh,
from
damn.
Dust. It is StuN.
All right, this is fun. Cannon Rush is such a weird and forgotten opening these days, it seems. So I'm really interested how StuN is gonna make it work. I think you can put a pylon outside of that base, but he's not gonna. He's gonna run past the Overlord that RiSky was leaving there on purpose, probably to check for stuff like this. And now the Overlord smartly pulls back and will be spotting this pylon. So RiSky has all the information he needs. He's still dropping a gas, and this is really interesting because I don't think the gas is going to come into play to defend the cannon rush, and I think that his advantage or disadvantage moving forward in this game hinges on the defense of the cannon rush in itself. So I would personally almost never want to take that gas, because it just makes it so that if you're mining that gas, which now he realizes he's mining with just one drone, you're using money essentially, right? Because those are workers that are not producing you minerals and can't really help in the defense of this, because anything that you get with your gas is going to be much later than the cannon rush.
I think RiSky should have cancelled this hatchery here, or
Perhaps StuN is kind of overcommitting to the cannons. I would like to see him cancel the last two, and he's not gonna.
yeah.
So, you know, like when this happens to me, if I'm RiSky, I'm actually not too sad about this at all. Like, if you think about it, the investment in the cannons is, let's see, 600 plus the pylon, 700. The pylon, you could argue he's still using, and the forge, that's another 150. So, you know, he's killed a hatchery, which is worth 300 plus 350 plus the drone, but it's cost him like 800 resources. So, yeah, like he gains this positioning, and I really hope he does something with the positioning. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing, say, a more forward cannon just to defend or to poke at anything that goes down the ramp, so that then you're cutting reinforcements and making it more difficult for RiSky, for example, to develop an economy from the main that then he can transfer to one of his other bases. But as is, I actually really like RiSky's position, and if he understands that, I think he can take full advantage of that. This was clearly an overcommitment, I think, by StuN.
So this is actually, now I think about it, this is actually kind of funny, because I'm pretty sure StuN did this against RiSky in the qualifier. We were talking about this before when you asked about it, and these guys played in the qualifier, and RiSky won that matchup, and I think it was a 2-1 because the game he lost was like a very fast like cannon rush, where he actually just like, I think he just tried to pull workers to kill it all, and he didn't kill it all, and so he just GG'd at like 2.5 minutes or something. So RiSky playing, I think, very differently to how he played against this a week ago or so, when he actually came up against this the first time. So nice to see him kind of adapting a little bit between, well, week to week, and learn from his mistakes.
I think the more surprising thing to me is that StuN didn't cancel those two cannons. He canceled one of them, but he could have canceled all three of them, and then he would be at a lesser deficit, right? Like, he would have the money to make another Nexus.
And there's just no
like,
need
he would
for
have
those
a free
cannons,
Nexus
right
now.
There's
Yeah, they don't
RiSky
do
make
anything
in time. Yeah, there's nothing RiSky can make in time to save that hatchery at this point, more or less.
Yeah,
so I think you're right. Like, the extra 300 minerals is a much faster Nexus, and you know, maybe that's like 2 or 3 extra workers at this point. StuN is going to do something with this position, like you said you wanted him to. By the way, going up to what, 4 gates in total right now, and one of these gates is proxied on this pylon, so he gets fast warp ins. What's so powerful about this is obviously RiSky can't chase this back to the point of, you know, shutting down warp ins, because there's cannons there to protect the warp ins. So StuN gonna really get aggressive with this, and we'll see if it works out. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Absolutely. At the same time, I think that something like this should be somewhat foreseeable, right? If you're RiSky and you put yourself in a position where you oh, and look, he's dropping the cannon in the front too. He's doing everything that I wanted him to do, just a little bit later. Okay, but yeah, if you're Risky, you say, okay, I'm definitely ahead from how things have transpired. How does he get back into this? Utilizing that position, right? Like that's the only thing that you can do to actually make your investment worthwhile. So I think that he can and he should be ready. This should be somewhat expected, but we'll see what StuN makes of this. I love the extra cannons now. So now he's sectioning off the main base and making it a secluded base. If StuN can just get a hold of this ramp until the cannons finish, and now with sentries, this is great. Now I'm loving this.
Wow, this is really turning into something pretty crazy, right? I mean, things popping out in the main are just not going to be enough to fight the Stalkers. Risky's just going to go for it, but there's an overcharge here as well. Oh, the force field missed on the ramp. Yeah. Well, that's huge, because now the Lings will be in high enough numbers to start at least contesting these Stalkers. Risky will pull in his drones to help out as well. I mean, he gets rid of a few of these Stalkers here, but there's still a good amount left over. He's starting to build roaches now as well, but I mean, it's still difficult having to run past those cannons every time he wants to reinforce.
Yeah, and now that there's less units, the cannons take a higher percentage tax on whatever tries to run through it, right? Before, when he had like 20 Lings or something, if 5 Lings die, whatever, that's 25% of what you had. If you try to run by with 1 Ling, you lose 100% of it, right? So the less units you have running through the cannons, the more taxes they take. So right now, this position is basically unbreakable. Risky should be looking to just forfeit the main and try to see what he can do with natural and third, I suppose.
If he forfeits the main, where does he even go from there? I mean, he's got to rebuild a Roach and a spawning pool.
Yeah, he's
got to rebuild everything. It's painful. He's got some Ravagers up now. I mean, maybe his best hope is to, I mean, I'd say try and contain these units on the top left side, but even then, the recall from StuN on the Mothership core can come in, and all of a sudden, boom, you're out of there. So as soon as he needs to get out of here, he can. But now there's zero need to, and splitting up his units nicely, even if you're on the low ground, to protect the cannons as well, while he just has some units taken away in the main base. Risky falling very far behind right now here. 7 minutes into Ascension, Odyssey. I always do this as well. Odyssey and Ascension Dire like look the same when I glance at it sometimes.
Same.
Alright, well, we do see just so many Stalkers right now from StuN as he pushes in. I mean, Risky just doesn't really have the unit numbers he needs, and even if he kind of does, I mean, StuN just pulls back and warps in more, and he's working off of 16 more workers because Risky lost so much in the main base there. And yeah, this was really cool, the way he used not just the kind of cannons initially to protect his warpins, but expanded on that like you were mentioning. The fact he could push forwards and then create this position, which all of a sudden makes it so difficult for Risky to push into. Because I think without those cannons kind of helping him at the front, Risky has enough in time to shut this down. He has the comfort of being able to deal with this how he usually deals with it, but obviously here, in the long run, can't quite make it work, and that's GG. StuN takes game number 1. Fun when they're talking about the tournament and stuff. Yeah, confidence as well. It's nice. Alright, top left-hand side is Risky from My Insanity, of course, and he is up against the pink Protoss. So the bottom right-hand side from Dust Gaming, StuN.
See, this map looks like exactly the same as the other one to me.
It really. These two maps are just like so similar. It's insane. Like
same tile set even.
Yeah.
Is it the same tiles? I think it's similar.
I don't think it's quite the same, but it's still like grassy with trees and stuff. You know, like Odyssey's a bit more beachy, isn't it? But it's like it still has some like grass on it, trees, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I don't recall anymore. The map started.
I don't remember. It looks exactly like this one. Yeah, it's I really like the tile sets. I actually, there's some really cool. I really like the black and pink tile sets that are in the next season's map pool on black, pink, and.
I heard that it was kind of difficult to see on those maps, though. Is that true?
I mean, for me, it's completely fine, but for some people, it was. I remember Scarlet actually had to pause a game on one of them and had to put like a gamma all the way up to like 100% to see. But I imagine it'll be. I imagine it'll be fixed by the time it actually comes to ladder. Like, I imagine they'll do something about it.
Yeah, I might have to do it with just gamma settings. And I love this. I love this by StuN right now. He doesn't have a forge back at home. He just knows that he hasn't been scouted, and he knows that that Richie doesn't know that he doesn't have a cannon forge at home, right? So it's a great mind game because, you know, it takes advantage of the information that he just gave him. It's not a mind game that you would ever do in a best of 1 or on a ladder game, but in a best of 3 where you've just shown that you're capable and willing to cannon rush. I love it. Still, it didn't work at all.
Yeah, I love that Risky just called his bluff though. Just says, nah, I'm not falling for this one. But it would have sucked if like 5 cannons start building right now, wouldn't it? But yeah, Risky does not really care. And like you say,
Well, if
nice
it was
idea by
5
StuN.
cannons again, I would have been pissed off again.
Okay, sure.
3 cannons and then cancel 1, okay?
5 cannons. Well, God.
These people
Alright.
didn't play with Combat X, man. That guy had it down to a science.
Oh man, that's a name I've not heard in so long. Years, maybe even.
Damn.
Anyways,
Alright, Twilight Council.
I was just gonna say, I was just the other day going through some old Wikipedia pages. We had a StarCraft event in the UK, and we were just like up late one night. We started talking about like an old tournament, something we got on Wikipedia. We started clicking through all these old pages, and like, holy crap, it's so crazy how to like think back to all of these tournaments. And well, I think it's the craziest thing is like I remember so many of these matches. Like when I actually see the scores, I was like, oh yeah, that was the match he did this in. It's so weird to think I can think of certain games like so long ago.
That is crazy. It's the
Really?
caster's mind, I guess.
The caster's mind. I'm sure you have games which you can like remember that you played a long time ago that were pretty cool. No?
Usually not, actually. No, not unless I have like a VOD of it that I've watched, you know?
Okay. Okay, I'll take it as the caster's mind then. Maybe it's just because I have to know results, you know. Have to know.
I mean,
what players do.
it might just be you versus me. Like, I don't have a great memory. Perhaps yours is much better.
Okay, I'll take the compliment. Fair enough. Alright, Twilight Council and a Resident Evil Waves opening here from StuN. Not the most popular way to open with the Twilight nowadays. Usually you see them Dark Shrines or something akin to moving in towards Charge and a Prism early, but Glaives is still, you know, Glaives still is Glaives. It still does what Glaives always used to do, which is to force units to apply pressure while taking a third base, and sometimes you can be cheeky and throw down 7 extra gates and all in with it as well, but I'd be surprised if StuN really went for that here. He's already taken extra gases as well, so just going to be looking to apply some pressure with some initial adepts and try and slow RiSky down a bit. But RiSky going into the Bane Nest already, looking as though he's going to be well prepared. I mean, the Overlord sees everything, right? He sees the Twilight researching as well. He sees the adepts already at the front, so he puts 2 and 2 together. And he gets to 4, so sets up to get the Bane Nest ready to defend it.
Yep, this is just gonna be a 6 adept boat by the looks of it, and this is not a great commitment by StuN yet. But now he has the decision to make if he's gonna add extra production or he's gonna go for a third. I wouldn't mind either path. He already has the warp prism on the way, so that's gonna serve to warp in additional. Oh, and it's completely off. He just goes for a double Stargate instead. His probe is trapped, sadly.
Wow. It's not too crazy nowadays, I guess. We've seen a lot of kind of high Stargate plays. I wonder if he's going to play a Phoenix, though, rather than Oracles, which is sort of what we'd expect nowadays. We'd expect Oracle play. But back in the day, kind of going a lot of Adepts and then into Mass Phoenix was kind of a thing, too. So maybe he's going to take us on a crazy ride down to Memory Lane. And,
yeah, this is really strange for me. I don't foresee this working too well, because RiSky's already on 3 base economy. He's well defended, and okay, now he's taking a third. So I was wondering why the third wasn't taken before this, but maybe he needs it or wants it for safety or something. Let's see what he.
I think if you
makes
throw
from
double
it.
Stargates down, a lot of the time you do take the third just a bit later. But I think the issue with that is that RiSky sees the third base being late, and so he immediately starts to wonder, like, well, you've got to be doing something to not have, you know, built the third yet, right? So
Yeah.
interesting. to see
Just
how
now
it
he's
goes.
starting the Phoenix production, and it will be Phoenix.
A couple of gates coming down here from StuN as well.
This is so dangerous.
This is great, by the way. Kind of in the chat says, do you remember the time you beat MMA in a team league right after you took 2nd place at BlizzCon? I remember that.
I do. I do.
Yeah, that was great. It was like the opening match of the Team League Season 4, and it was like root against Axiom Asa, and you took down like
Took down like 2 or 3 of them.
you took down like it was like match point on 3-1, and you're like, no, I'm not dying, and you took down like 2 of the best Terrans in the world at the moment. What a god.
Yeah, some weird shit too.
Yeah, it was,
That against MMA, I remember that was a crazy game.
that was on like that
I
dumb
went,
map
like-
as well, right?
Yeah, I opened Muta and then went for like a Nidus
Nidus,
Roach.
yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty nuts.
Wow. That was funny. I'm gonna have to watch the VOD of that now. Someone's reminded me of it. That was a great game. Alright, sorry. Phoenix are out on the map, I guess, to get back into this. RiSky's looking pretty okay. I mean, the Phoenix aren't really doing too much just now. I mean, picking up an Overlord is so as you'd expect them to. RiSky's actually moving forward with a lot of his things, kind of putting them top right, very central as well, taking a 4th base behind it. Just getting himself going.
Yeah, very cool. Very standard. And now we have StuN going for the Templar Archives to look for Storm. Still, I don't know. Like this setup for StuN looks so risky. I feel like if RiSky had gone for just even with his units, he could have forced so many unwanted warpins by just poking in with his Link Bane, and there's really not a reason to be inside like where he is with the Link Bane. If you really think about it, right? Like there's Phoenix is out, there's no Oracle, so he can't really get punished for being outside on the map. So, but look at this drop on the main though.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of damage. I mean, StuN takes so long to respond to this, actually. 15 workers go down. Really, that's really powerful by RiSky, who will actually chase into the natural as well right now. There's nothing to stop him, and he's still going to get more workers. Wow.
There's the weapons.
That is a very weak response by StuN. It's taking forever to fix. Even
and he's trying to bring in units, but they're stuck at the choke as well.
That Adept is holding position so well, he won't even let his friends through. What a...
Yeah.
I mean, he's just
like
sick of his job, man. He's let one too many links pass before, he doesn't want it to happen again. Anyways, more units to the south side from RiSky gonna come through, and well, just gonna poke away at StuN's Phoenix, which really haven't done enough this game. Like, you know, to kind of play well, you know, to play effectively, I think, with Phoenix, or Mass Phoenix, you're looking at usually... Remember back when it used to be something like, you wanted to get like 1 to 2,000 resources lost advantage over your opponent to justify the commitment to Phoenix, which he's starting to make up for now, killing a couple of these Hydras, but he's still
he killed
open.
Like 5 or 6 just now, so that was good.
This was really... This completely destroys my point, because just before this, he was like 1,000 resources lost down. But obviously that's changing pretty rapidly now as he starts to kill some of these units. So he's finally starting to get some damage done, which is nice, but he really has to, otherwise he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
To your point though, like the earlier you do damage, the more the damage actually matters.
Yeah,
so
that's true as well.
Since he's doing like damage so late with the Phoenix, like they all nearly had full energy. Yeah, so you know, they're just like wildly ineffective. If you kill a drone as soon as the game starts, that drone is worth like, you know, down 10 minutes down the line, it's worth like 10 drones, because it would have mined that much money, right? So the earlier you do damage, the greater it is, and if your investment into Phoenix is that heavy early on, and you don't do anything with it, then you're just falling behind.
It's going to be an interesting couple of moments. Storm just finished up for StuN in time to help out with this, but he's not going to get a lot of the Banes with these Storms. Because Bane's mostly going towards the mineral line though. 14 workers going down. There's still a few left over to get these Warping Zealots, and I think RiSky just has a bit too much. We're going to be seeing them... Well, the Hydra's actually going to start getting cleaned out, actually. I didn't see the Adepts to the top side, but I think the reinforcements are what's going to be really important here. RiSky has 15 Hydras in production. And you look at StuN, he's got, what, like 40 workers to 73. He's got half the army supply. He's warping in a few more kind of unupgraded Adepts as well, by the way. Like, he's got no upgrades on these, and later in the game as well, like, these Adepts just don't really transition into being something great, and they're still kind of just, you know, they're taking up supply, but not really being as useful as their supply intent would suggest that they are at this point.
Yeah, there's a point that could be made on Composure, maybe. I think that if he doesn't suicide those Banelings into the mineral line, he can just close out the game, and in a closer game than this, it matters a lot more, right? So whenever you have the decision to make between killing your opponent's army or their economy with your Banelings, you have to be really careful, because if your attack hinges on your Banelings connecting to their army to succeed, then you're gonna kill all the workers anyway, eventually, because workers don't fare up well against the army. But in this case, I think either decision was fine. Like, this was kind of like, you know, I kill you. If I kill your workers right now, which I am guaranteed to do, I will definitely be ahead. And I think from that perspective, you can take the small advantage instead of looking to close out the games. But in closer games, I think that it would have been a pretty big mistake to go on the close.
Yeah, in a closer game, he would have wanted to deal like maybe 3 or 4 Banes towards the mineral line to get a few workers, but keeping the majority of them towards that army. You know, get those Zealots, clean them up, so the Hydras just have a much better time in being able to continue trading and so on. So it's going to be seen. RiSky still looking good though. I mean, heavily ahead in terms of supply at the moment. And obviously, well, I mean, he's just building up towards a maxed out army to push again and do a similar sort of attack, right? And it should just close out the game, unless StuN can get like the storms from heaven or something. I don't know. He usually has to rely on something pretty magical right now to save the day, as we see already Banes and Lings hitting the third base mineral line all over again.
Well done by RiSky, and yeah, he just has a lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
I
really.
don't think StuN's gonna be able to do much.
Really, not really much StuN can do at all against this. I don't think we're gonna see. Again, just so many more links still being added in as well. Like, that's the thing. He's just getting so many units up. They're going to become Banelings too. And it's just going to be this unstoppable army. StuN's army is looking a bit better now than it was before. Like, a few more High Templar. He's got Archons mixed in.
Yeah, the sad thing about this story, Wardy, is that he's putting himself out in the open with this base, which is the worst possible location to fight an army. Like, so if he was expanding upwards, then he would be fighting at least at chokes, where like Hydras and Banelings have to come through chokes, and then the storm is infinitely, well, not infinitely, but like twice as effective in many cases. Whereas here, the army can come from everywhere, and if the army is coming from everywhere, then the storm can't be effective everywhere. And we see RiSky doing just that, spreading his army and coming from a 180 degrees.
It's so difficult for the pros player to do anything about this. Like, you don't have enough storms to cover all the entrances of the Berserk when they're in this sort of position. And so you just can't slow enough of it down, and RiSky just, you know, goes in, comes out. Now he's going to get Lings on top of the High Templar in the back as well. And that's when StuN starts to panic, and that's when RiSky will just move on in. And the rest of his Hydras to clean this up. I mean, the Archons are going to go down, a couple more finish, but there isn't really too much else coming in, and there's another wave of Zerglings come through. It should be more than enough just to help these Hydras tanking and to take the rest down. GG's, and RiSky ties us up. See, it was nice to see Stevie's going long, Stevie's going to the wire, and he's got a good matchup of players here for the evening, so looking forward again to this third one, as we have Mech Depot as our map to decide who is going to take this. An important one for RiSky, has Zerg in the bottom left, because if he loses out here, he would be down in the group 02, and from there's not a lot of recovery you can make unless someone goes 3-0 and certain map scores allow you to move on forwards. On the other side of things, StuN from Just Gaming. I think Protoss to the upper right. His first matchup of the day, so even if he does lose, I mean, obviously a difficult one to come back from, having to play Semper and Keen, but it's still in his hands in terms of having a good chance to move first.
Definitely. So it's going to be Mech Depot for the third time in a row, and this should be a great match.
Yeah, man. Mech Depot. Looks like Odyssey looks like Ascension. It's crazy, isn't it? It's also green. It's crazy. Thank you very much in the chat, by the way, Von Schleer for the cheer 400. Appreciate it, mate. See some love in the chat for Von Schleer. And those bits. Couldn't resist not being the bit boss for like more than an hour, could you? Appreciate it.
Wait, how do you pronounce his name?
Von Schleer.
Von Schleer. That's cool. Von Schleer. That's 400 bits, isn't it? It's 104 times.
That's why I said cheer 400.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, Von Schleer.
Nice. So you even get a cat's nice when you cheer today, guys. It's an added bonus to the stream. It's not something you get every day. What can I say? All right.
Yeah.
So third game, Mech Depot. Interested to see what happens here actually.
Yeah, it seems like he's getting the link speed, but he's RiSky, that is, but he's still mining the gas as well. So we'll see what comes of this. I don't think this is normal by any means. He's still taking the third though, so maybe it is. I usually don't do stuff like this, but I wonder what the gas is going to be used for, because it's just being banked for now.
Maybe just overload speed early.
That could be it. Yeah, he's removing from the. Yeah, that's it. Good call, Wardy.
Nice.
That is indeed.
It's something which is very debated by a lot of Zergs. I know Alaza. I was talking to him, Alaza, at last Home Story Cup, and he was like, I don't understand why any Zerg would not open overload speed, because he just says it's just so good. You can see what's happening. You save your overloads for Phoenix or something. Like, there's just, and you're going to get it later in the game as well, because you want to use it for drops, etc. So I just don't understand why you wouldn't use it, or why you wouldn't get it early game, because to give up the Queen and to mine a bit more gas is just so worthwhile for the information you get. So then I talked to someone else at the same event, I think it was Cyril, who just said, well, I don't know, I think it's fucking useless or something. So
yeah, I mean, like, I can see both points, both perspectives. I think that what a laser might be overlooking here is exactly what we were talking about last game, which is the earlier you make an investment, the more it actually costs, right? So here, for example, where he's getting overload speed, in order to do that, he had to mine with 3 workers on that gas for much longer, which means he's not mining the minerals with 3 extra workers, which means his economy is going to be stifled by doing that. It's not just the cost in itself, but the opportunity cost as well, if you will. So yeah, it's not that cheap. It's not as cheap as it might seem, and it doesn't usually give you too much information that your overlord wouldn't otherwise get you.
Yeah, I guess it's I guess especially nowadays when so many Stargate openers are kind of the meta as well. It's maybe not as useful as it was back then when it was a lot more like, is it going to be Archon drops or is it going to be glaives again, that sort of thing. So I guess it's a bit different nowadays. But yeah, he is just going to use this to scout, and I guess one of the interesting scouts for RiSky here will be to see that it's not multiple Stargates on the follow-up, but the Forge and the Twilight Council. And so this allows RiSky from the get-go to see, okay, well, it's going to be probably charge and +1, because that's generally how players are opening right now. After it's Stargate, Forge, Twilight, you go charge and +1, there it is in the production tab. You start getting the Prism up, and then you can start doing these very powerful kind of charge-Archon attacks around the map, and you can really start to do a lot with this. So we'll see how this is going to get going.
Definitely. And just to be clear, I don't think it's a bad opener by any means.
No,
I think it's
good,
yeah.
justifiable.
Has advantages and disadvantages is the point that I was trying to make. So like to say like I don't understand why someone wouldn't. That's kind of what I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, it's it really is. I think is one of the beauties of StarCraft, right? Like different openings can do different things, and sometimes there's no hard fast way of saying this is better or this is worse. Like
absolutely,
that's the way the game works. Like sometimes you got 2 choices that you can choose between, and they're both just as good as the other. Or sometimes this one's better, but not all the time. Like
it's very difficult. It's very difficult to tell. For example, if we look at the previous series and we see how, like, you could say, how do I like a question that someone could pose is, how do I stop a Hellbat Thor push? And we saw the exact same push in both games. Defended with basically the same unit composition, just coming off of different positions in the game, where he had taken a little bit of damage in one game and he took no damage or little damage in the other game, and the result is completely different. So a lot of the time people are looking for an answer, a direct answer that's like, what unit do you make against this? But it's so usually not complex, that right? That kills. Yeah, exactly. There's so many more factors that come into it, and usually what wins you the game is not the units that you make, at least exclusively, but in great part everything else that has been going on and how you use those units and why you're making those units.
The Phoenix that came up from the StuN picked up a couple of overlords before now and is just poking and prodding again. This is actually interesting. StuN didn't go overly aggressive with Prism and charge shots, etc. He actually went straight into the Storm upgrade when the Archives came down.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's cool as well, just playing the more defensive game. Those charge or Archon attacks can be very powerful, but it's one of those things where if the Zerg has too much right away, it gets shut down very quickly. And while you don't maybe lose a lot, in this scenario, you're guaranteed to get into sort of the mid-game you want to play with the Storm, the units you want to set up into. You know, this game is just going much better for StuN than in game number 2, for example. He's actually going to get Immortals on the way up. He's going to have that Storm early, so he's going to have a lot of Storms available. Obviously, he can add in Archons whenever he feels the need to, probably just before an attack, because there's no need to warp them in too much before then. And yeah,
I think this is very intelligent play by StuN. Like he basically faked an attack to an extent. It got scouted, right? And he's like, okay, I'll just use this to go Storm, and it's great. Like, look, he has like full Storm ready Templars now, 6 of them too. It's how do you break this? And RiSky still had to react, still had to make units, and is still going for the same overall plan that he was last game. Only this game, he doesn't have a huge glaring advantage in terms of army or economy, and he's attacking into a choke as opposed to an open area. So I really like StuN's chances in this game, and I don't like that RiSky's kind of not reacting, right? Like he's just playing the same exact game as he was.
Well, nothing's changing,
sure that's
right?
Gonna pan out.
Yeah,
nothing's
really
changing for him.
We'll see if it's... he's going for that Infestation Pit, maybe a bit faster than we saw in the last game. Last game, I don't know if he even threw it down in the end. But he's going to throw it down, I feel like, a bit faster this time around. He's going for the stairs to get something down. It's nice to see StuN as well, actually.
To his credit, he has saturated his fourth, like oversaturated at this point. If he was to take those gases, then upgrade to a hive right away or something. Maybe we could see a Brutler timing or something.
We're actually going to see StuN though already throwing down a Fleet Beacon, so with Fleet Beacon already on the way down, the idea of attacking in towards carriers perhaps here, and just the ability to build Tempests. Maybe this is all kind of things which maybe kind of makes a rush to Broodlords that he's going to start going for. Maybe this is the sort of thing that stops a rush to Broodlords so simply and so early on.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I haven't seen many people go in Tempest for a little while now, and I'm not so sure why.
I think he'll just go carriers right away, right? But when he sees like the Broodlords coming up early, he already has the infrastructure there to just crack out a couple of Tempests nice and quickly, so that he's not like, oh crap, suddenly I have to start building a Fleet Beacon. And the carriers are okay against Broodlords as well. Like it's some sort of anti-air, right? He starts off the mothership, but we're expecting more because he added an extra Stargate, so should be seeing something shortly here. Although it was only up to 2 Stargates, right? He was only on 1 at the start of this game, so...
Yeah,
see what he does.
His 4th base is really, really late, and it got denied once on top of that, so... Yeah, just kind of to go back on what I was saying, I kind of like that RiSky didn't commit to the attack, didn't go for the Hydra Bane attack that was doomed to fail, because, you know, StuN now has Templars that he could have gotten later, and they would have served the same purpose, right? They're just aging at this point with no use for the storms, so yeah, he really needs to establish this base, and now it's RiSky who has the upper edge just by virtue of not attacking, not overcommitting, developing a really strong economy at the 4th, and not throwing away his units. So I love it.
RiSky's just being so calm and collected, just moving around the map, picking off bits and pieces here, slowly setting up into his Broodlords. And again, like, if you look at the resources lost, there's been a bit lost throughout the game, right? But there's not been any massively major trades from either side. It's just been a few Zealots here, a few Zerglings there, you know, little squads of harassment getting shut down. RiSky now is going to come in from a couple different angles, going to try and run by with Lings to the top, but push in with Ling being Hydra to the south. He's actually going to kill quite a lot here, but backs away very quickly when the main army comes through. Which I think, again, kind of to your point, I kind of like, because he has to free up some supply for Broodlords.
Yes, at this point he needs to trade his army. I love the way that he was going about it. He's not just, you know, throwing units into nothing. He went for a 2-pronged aggression. He thought, okay, somewhere I can waste units effectively, and he found his place at the 4th. So I love that. That empties like 30 supply for him, and now he can go into Broodlords. But no, he's just gonna max out on Lings.
I think it's because he just panicked because his spawning pool was about to die, so maybe he just made more Lings while he could.
That has to be it, but yeah, I'm not sure I like it so much. At the same time, he's getting attacked, so maybe it was the correct call.
I mean, he could stop buffing in Broodlords, right? I mean, he's got the Corruptors, and there's not really air units that use the Corruptors for.
He still has the supply for it too.
Yeah.
So.
Spawn pool coming up. I think the big thing is Adrenal Glands getting cancelled there. It's something that will slow down the 3rd player just in terms of those Lings. Mostly counter-attacking. Lings in a fight obviously benefit from Adrenal. The Lings aren't usually in a fight to give you kind of damage output. They're there to kind of be a bit of an annoyance in the front and, you know, soak up some damage.
He found he again finds a way to get rid of units effectively in that run by, and he's gonna go for that. Templar Archives actually doesn't get the surround, so won't get to kill it, but he has units coming into the 4th as well. I like what RiSky's doing around.
This is actually really nice. He gets 2 Archons here. He's going to work his way through a bunch of probes as well. This is actually going pretty well for him as we see Hydras, Banes moving up through the center of the map. And be actually coming in towards this Nexus on the 5th base.
But he keeps making Zerglings. I really don't like that he keeps making Zerglings. Like, I feel like those Zerglings were already fortunate enough to get value out of, right? Like he finds the main uncovered, and he runs by, and he finds a couple of Archons morphing at the 4th. But you gotta count your blessings too. Like, why not just like commit to your greater force? I love what he's doing with the Corruptors. He's hunting for the Tempest on the Mothership. He has so many, but he's gonna get pushed away by the Archons.
Yeah,
still killing this 4th is gigantic.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. He's like looking for those units, and he doesn't find. Well, he finds them, but with the rest of the army. But that's only a benefit for him because now he kills the space again. So StuN is put back down to 3 bases all over again now. Well, the Lings are still just getting shut down as they go. And, well, I mean, again, RiSky, he's got so many Corruptors up, but he's still not making Broodlords. Do you think that's the right decision with Tempest being out? Do you think it's worth morphing 3 or 4 in at least? I feel as though
Yeah,
he should at
because
least
there's
get a
3
few.
Tempests. Like, he can one-shot
Yeah.
Broodlords, but he can't one-shot, like, you know, 10 Broodlords.
Yeah, exactly.
And we see
Risky
9
sees
morphing
it.
now, so that's good.
Maybe he was just waiting until he actually needed them to like defend or something. Like maybe he never really intended to attack with them early on, so he was just waiting for them to come through. And a few Hydras giving up their lives right now for no real reason other than they're being miscontrolled. I like this again. You talked about the Corruptors hunting for units before, and they find a Tempest on its way over to this army now. RiSky will lose a base to the south, but he's once again denying potential extra bases of his opponent to send some Lings in, forcing Warpins at home rather than potentially coming in with the main army. And it looks as though StuN is not going to push too much further forwards, I don't think. I feel as though he should back away. I mean, he's already picked
still
up the
making
base.
links. I really don't think these links are gonna accomplish anything. That he just made 56 links or something. Like, even if you look at his gas to mineral ratio right now, it's not like he's dumping minerals because he has too much of it and he wants to manage his economy well. It's like he thinks that links are probably the best option to make, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why. Because if StuN wins this game, it's only because his army will be so much better, and because there is like supply wasted and things like certain things.
For some reason, the mothership is on its own down to the south side, and it gets killed off.
Poor girl.
It's a shame. What do you think he should make instead of the Lings? Just, I mean, I know he's got the
Just
gas.
anything.
Just Hydras,
Infestors, more Corruptors,
yeah.
Hydras, Broodlords. I think that those are all better than Zerglings right now. Zerglings can be a good unit to reinforce because they make the quickest and they run the fastest, right? So they can arrive to a fight much earlier, and that has a great value in itself. But these links they're just gonna melt in the fight, right? So if he's not finding the Rambai damage that he wants from them, they're just useless.
We've seen RiSky is in a little bit of a tough spot here if these Corruptors haven't taken such a beating already. He's going to be pulling back a little bit. He is still running by with Lings though, and I mean he is doing something with them at least. He's going to hit the 4th base again, and there's not much to really defend this yet, actually against the Adrenal Clan Zerglings. He gets the pylon instantly, but he still has to defend this main army, and we're going to see the Broodlords are going to be one of the main things he uses to try and do this. Pull him back a little bit. He just doesn't have much on the ground to really help out. The Hydras and Banes coming back in now. And they're just a little bit too late. Broodlords still doing their job though. Corruptors will now fly on in to shut down those Tempests and keep those Broodlords even safer. But the Archons are closing the gap. I mean, the Archon numbers are going down pretty quickly as well though. The Broodlords are still looking pretty strong here.
A weird nail biter here, but it looks like RiSky will prevail.
Yeah, and at the same time, RiSky is still denying the 4th base. The 3rd base too is completely gutted. There's only 8 workers left on the map for StuN at the end here, so...
He ended up using the links for a checkmate